So what we've got here is not the one time, not the two time, but the 3-time Arnold Strongman champion, Mitchell the Moose Hooper!
Hello. Hello, everybody.
All right, that was without caffeine for the record. So Mitch, you're all well rested a little bit after yesterday's event?
Not well rested at all. But we're making it work. We compete Friday, Saturday. Today's our day to say hello to everyone. And ultimately, without you guys, I can't do what I do. Mutant can't do what Mutant does. So it's the smallest gesture of thanks I could give.
Well, it looked like a little bit of a struggle out there. The weights here at the Arnold Strongman are a little big, aren't they? They're not messing around.
Yeah, it's not comfortable, that's for sure. And it's really important with 6 events that in the first 2 or 3 you don't burn all of your energy reserves, and you'll see that often. So yeah, it beats the body up. It's not comfortable, but ultimately, if you're well conditioned, you're okay, which is the thing that most people miss. You can be strong, but if you're not conditioned to be able to compete and warm up for 45 minutes 6 times and on, then it can be a real struggle. But to be honest, the body feels okay today. I'm just tired, and my brain is tired.
No doubt. And the back is okay. Did anybody see what he was doing the last couple of days? Okay, that log press. I mentioned it to you afterwards. That log press scared a few people. How did that go? I don't know if you saw, he was a little bent there.
So for those who didn't see, there was a 430-pound log press. I tore my bicep about 3.5 months ago. And so cleaning the log up my body becomes really hard. So 430 pounds, I sort of had it on my stomach, had to fold myself back in half. The spotter sprinted up as I was gonna fall backwards, but I just have this ability to fold myself over. Thankfully, all is okay. My back is fine. I don't know what it is structurally, but I can fold myself so that my chest points to the sky with 400, 500 pounds, and it just doesnn't bother me. So it's one of the many blessings I've been given.
Well, and it's the hardcore mentality to pull that out. I mean, some people might not have, gutted that one out.
It's strongman and strength training in general. It lets you discover who you are. If it's a set of 20 and your legs are burning, or it's a set of 1 that's lasting 10 or 15 seconds, you can't fake the effort. You can't fake the grind. No. And ultimately, it's the same thing with, regardless if you want to progress in bodybuilding or strongman or powerlifting, the principles are the same. If you work really hard, you're very consistent, you're going to get fantastic results up to a very good level. And the programming and the 1% and the 2%, a lot of stuff that ordinary people and non-athletes worry about, I don't even worry about. I get the basics right, do that really well, and it tends to fare well.
Well, definitely, and you definitely proven out after 3 times in a row now. Yeah. And last year was amazing. Like, what was that record run you went on? You were like 8 of 9?
Yeah, so last year I won every strongman show except for World's Strongest Man, where I came second due to injury. But I was 8 of 9 last year. I've won now 10 of the last 11 shows.
Right.
I've won 7 of the last 9 major shows. So I've been really lucky.
Oh, yeah.
When you talk about consistency, that's exactly what it is, because in strongman, our events aren't the same. You'll have the Arnold, which is a really heavy show. You have World's Strongest Man, which is lighter and more medleys. And that's the thing that I'm most proud of, is being able to be adaptable amongst all of those shows. So yeah, it's hard to digest. I'm not sure I will for a long time.
Yeah, but one thing I've noticed about you is that your approach to everything is very meticulous. So even watching you come out, and you had the elbow wraps, you put them aside by the log there, and you had other things going on. You were adjusting all the weights. Not everybody does that, and I watched that also in some of your training videos. You're very meticulous. Same thing with your diet, obviously. You knew I was going to talk about supplements and food at some point, but you're very meticulous on every aspect, and that's where I think it's vaulted you past, this fast lane, fast track that you've been on here the last few years.
Yeah, it's because people often assume that the higher the arousal state, the better your performance is going to be, and the more aggression you can get out of yourself, the stronger you're going to be. But ultimately, you need to be in a high enough arousal state that you can be aggressive and powerful, but not so high that you get erratic and out of control. So for me, I have no problem switching on. So all of my effort goes to staying calm, staying in the moment, checking the timer, where do I want equipment placed, how do I want it to be, and that changes based on what other people do. So on that medley, I was the last one to go out, and I knew that I had to do 1 on the log press, and I knew that the elbow sleeves would make the stone harder because you got to reach so far down. So if I needed 3 on the log, I would have had to keep my sleeves on from the get-go. So you have to adapt these things over time. And if you guys saw before the last event what was going on backstage, I was back there with my coach, and we're doing like mathematics based on every single person's finishing place and what's the minimum that I need to do. And because ultimately, that's the goal. It's not the most exciting thing for the fans, but the goal is do the least you have to do to win the show. Ironically, the only time I didn't stick to that principle is when I tore my bicep. I'd already won the Rogue Invitational, did something extra, tore my bicep. So I've learned that one the hard way. But being in the moment and being meticulous is really important in competition, but day-to-day life as well.
Well, exactly. It's not like you're going through the McDonald's drive-through every day. If at all. If at all.
The misnomer, I want to. I 100% want to. I just don't, because you can't.
I freely admit, McDonald's does taste good at times, but it's not the go-to. So I think some people would also like to understand, like, what is like a typical breakfast or a lunch? Like,
yeah.
He's a little larger and he burns more calories than most people on the planet. So I think there's some mystery in it. Some people would like to hear some of that.
Hey, justified obesity is what I like to call it. So breakfast for me, it's I got to get started into work. So I own a couple of businesses myself, so it's not just Strongman for me. So I'll get up in the morning, I'll have a protein shake, I'll chuck that on top of my cereal, throw my creatine in with the protein shake, and I'm always with the isolate, always isolate for me. Throw that in cereal, and then Greek yogurt mixed with orange juice. I don't know how many of you have seen that, but I love doing that, mixing it together. That's breakfast. Lunch number 1 is Monster Mash with Stan Efferding, and that's ground beef, rice, beef broth. Mash that up. For anyone looking to gain weight, one of the biggest tips is the less that you chew, the less your body thinks you're full. So if you can cut down your chewing by introducing a broth and mashing it up a bit, looks horrible, tastes not bad. That's lunch 1. Lunch 2 is after training, and that's going to be another shake. Again, isolate, milk, creatine again. Lunch 3 is the same as lunch 1. Dinner is like a normal dinner, just meat, potatoes, vegetables. And then I'll usually have a Halo top at night because I want to eat ice cream but pretend that I'm fit. And then often another shake before bed, some rice cakes, some clean carbs, stuff like that. And that's the bulk of my actual diet.
Well, yeah, and me, I've worked with athletes for over 30 years, and one of the more consistent things I've always seen when I work with athletes, whether it's strongman, bodybuilding, the NHL, CFL, soccer, everybody's got their macros down. Like, I have never walked into a strength and conditioning coach's room and had a conversation where they didn't talk about macros, more macros, and macros. You get the point. So in doing everything we do about sports nutrition and active lifestyle nutrition, we've actually been using greens with athletes for over 20 years anyways. We're a manufacturer. We have over 200,000 square feet of manufacturing and operations. So we've been making greens for so many brands over the years, and last year we went, you know what, it's about time we just made one for ourselves. So the idea of a greens product isn't so much about trying to make you eat your kale, and because full disclosure, I don't want to eat 9 buckets of kale. Kale's not going to do me any happiness. And like you said, you don't want to be chewing all your food anyways. And lettuce gets stuck in your teeth, at least mine does. But when it comes to just making a greens drink mix, to me it wasn't about selling another product. This was about everybody's so focused on their macros and we're missing out on our micros. And in the food supply, look at the farmer fields. They're not as nutrient rich as they were like 50 or 60 years ago. So that's all we wanted to do is take a powder, take over 40 different foods, put it in there, make it super concentrated so that you're getting things that you just can't get from a normal diet. Like, you have your macros, you take your vitamins, creatine as well. We're still missing some micros. Polyphenols, oligomeric proanthocyanidins. Holy crap, say that one 2 or 3 times fast. Not gonna happen. But being in sport, we also wanted to add in other things. And so we put in the super adaptogen, because you got to recover. We all got to recover. Life is stressful. So we put in the KSM 66 ashwagandha. We got probiotics in there. So it's a top up of a lot of things we just don't get in the normal diet. So that's why we made this. And it tastes great, by the way.
The context on micronutrients is really important because in society, I think we all want to think about things very yes or no. I eat healthy or I don't eat healthy. And oftentimes when we eat healthy to us, we tend to eat the same foods every day. So whilst micronutrient deficiencies are so rare in the Western world, if you go a long period of time where you mostly eat the same thing every day, even if it's healthy, a broccoli, rice, chicken, let's say, eventually you're going to run into those problems. And yeah, I mean, preparing vegetables and vegetables rotting and on and on. It's really annoying. So yeah, absolutely useful.
Well, I think all of us, most of us, our parents when we were growing up said you got to eat your veggies. And the reason for that is you just can't get everything just from starch and meats and proteins. So the other thing about the veggies is that when you're also eating just more and more vegetables, a high protein diet like what Mitch does and a lot of us do, you're actually creating a lot of acid in the body. And the acid's got to go somewhere. And so by eating your veggies, getting your greens in you, that's an alkalizing action. And so it's counteracting a lot of the other things that are going in our bodies, and it just helps with recovery. When I used to deal with the Vancouver Canucks, the NHL hockey team, the recovery was everything in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So anything we can do to hyper-accelerate any nuance of recovery, an athlete wants to take advantage of that, and we brought that to everybody.
And to speak physiologically a little bit, when you have your macronutrients, what's not appreciated is that when you eat your food, it's not actually in your body until it's absorbed, because we have a tube from our mouth to our butthole, and that is not in you until it's absorbed. And to be able to be absorbed into the bloodstream, from the bloodstream into the muscles, from the muscles into the action it actually needs to be able to do, all of that is micronutrient related. Every enzyme requires a micronutrient to make it work. And so if you're deficient in the micronutrient, but you're hitting all your macros, are you actually absorbing it? And when you absorb it, are you actually using that for what you want it to be used for? Which is very nuanced and very difficult. And the only possible way to do it is eating a variety of colors every meal, every day. Make sure you're hitting all of your natural products, and then you gotta have some cod liver oil, and you gotta have this and this and this. Or you can have a supplement that helps you tick off all of those boxes.